that's it for nerd news this week. Cam, do you want to do Cam and Tyler's quick Christmas roundup, or are you dead? And thumbs down. So
People are gonna be watching the video like, what is this time?
So I'll do a quick Christmas run through because it is starting to get to be the season where tons of Christmas movies are being released. So speaking of Lindsay Lohan, which we just talked about, Falling for Christmas, very much a Hallmark-esque movie that came out. It's a Netflix original, but Hallmark Christmas movies is something most people understand. It's just like a cringy, basic plot. Plot of this one: a newly engaged and spoiled hotel heiress finds herself in the care of a handsome, blue-collar lodge owner and his precocious daughter after getting total amnesia in a skiing accident. And every single Hallmark Christmas movie is the same way. It's usually a very rich, wealthy woman somehow gets mixed up with some poor blue-collar guy.
Poor guy.
And then then he just totally changes her world. This one's freaking hilarious because she goes skiing, hits her head.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I watched it.
I thought Cam watched it. I didn't realize.
No, all three of these, I would have skipped these. I've seen all three of these Christmas movies. So this one, she hits her head and gets amnesia. She doesn't remember who she is.
Dude, she would have died. She would have fucking died.
Yeah, like a colossal ski accident.
Bro,
And
get up.
And so she goes to this hotel where Cord Overstreet, which people, if they watch Glee, they would recognize him from. He works there, and basically she doesn't remember anything. So at first it's hilarious. He's like, "Oh, let's just act like she's works here and have her clean rooms," and she just starts doing chores around the hotel. But then they end up falling for each other. And then all of a sudden she remembers who she is, remembers she's rich as hell, and that her dad owns the rich fancy hotel that's going to put her new boy's bumbling main stupid lodge out of business. And honestly, it's super corny, super cringy, just like any Hallmark movie. But I enjoyed this. I literally laughed probably 14 times out loud because of how crazy some of the,
okay.
Not because of the comedy, but when I'm watching these kind of movies, that's what I'm looking for. I want to laugh out loud at the ridiculousness, and I totally got that because there's a scene where he has to go say she's leaving town and he has to go catch her before she leaves. So he gets on his snowmobile, starts it, doesn't work. Then all of a sudden he sees in his yard a big thing under this big tarp, and he's like, "What is that?" Opens it, it's a fucking sleigh. Yeah. And he has horses pull him on a sleigh to town.
I don't watch Christmas movies at the best of times. I will not be watching this.
No, there's no need to. There's no
cinematic genius right here.
I have a couple of notes of.
I can't wait to hear these.
This is going to be absurd.
They're going to be so dumb. I love the way it assesses it.
No, I don't have a ton of good notes this time, but I will say this has the classic your fucking company is dying and this lodge is going out of business, and he refuses to accept a fundraiser. He's like, "I will not take charity." You should. You're gonna lose this business. Fuck you. Also, I have the moral of the story is if you have a dying business, hope a very rich woman loses all her memory and falls in love with you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all the points I had, but.
Yeah,
I rated it way too highly. I'll probably drop it, but I honestly, like Tyler said, I didn't have a bad time.
What did you rate it?
A 50 out of 100.
Tyler, what did you rate it?
2.4 out of 10.
2.4.
Jesus,
bro.
2.5 is bad.
Yeah.
What's hilarious too is at the very end when people in the town start giving him money so his lodge can stay in business. It's just the funniest reasons ever. He basically has a bucket that he's collecting money that his daughter sets up for him because he's too prideful to. And people will be like, "Yeah, one time I needed my car to get towed and you helped me out of that ditch." And then puts a check in there. And he's like, "One time we had our honeymoon here and we had a great experience." And then just give him a big check.
What's
all
it
this
called?
stupidest thing. Falling for Christmas.
It's not Hallmark. Don't rope it under that. It's Netflix. That's the new vibe.
Hallmark.
This crap.
I know.
Yeah, Hallmark is just a genre at this point.
I know. I agree.
But yeah, very, very.
No, I'm not watching that.
It was fun, but it's not a good movie. But the other two Christmas movies, I genuinely enjoyed, and again, I didn't think they were bad. One, I think, is better than the other. Cam, did you finish Spirited?
No, I didn't finish Spirited. And then A Christmas Story Christmas I watched prior to hopping on that live last night. Couldn't tell you a damn thing about it. couldn't tell you anything. So
Yeah, I have a question, and I hate to
Let's
keep harping on your night. Is wine your like go-to drink of choice?
No.
Always?
I
No.
can't drink wine. I hate wine.
like it's become a new thing as like Emma and I
As you
gotten
age.
older. It's easier
is
to
a
just
bit,
you
yeah.
have a little glass of wine at night. But no,
I
I'm
think
never
a wine.
drinking, I'm
You
never
say
drinking
that-
wine again.
You say as you become older, you're the youngest one here. Is that just like a
I'm not-
dad thing?
I have a child,
not-
man. I'm so old.
not-
Yeah,
I
but no,
think
it's
wine
But
hunger.
no, I'm out on both of these. Sorry, Tyler.
right
Wine
before-
hunger is the worst.
right before the live. Cam texted me. He's like, "Just finished A Christmas Story Christmas. Don't remember any of it, but I think I'm just gonna like rate it and just stick with it and say fuck it." I'm like, "What the
Just give it a 5. Just give it a 5.
I'm out. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about that movie.
I
Well,
will say it's got decent score. It's got 3.2, which is like not as bad as I thought.
yeah, so I'll hop into my review real quick. So I am a huge fan of A Christmas Story. It's my favorite Christmas movie. I watched it.
I'm coming back for the draft.
Okay, I've literally watched it dozens of times as a kid. And this sequel came out 40 years later. And for a movie coming out 40 years after the original, I genuinely enjoyed this. I gave it a 6.6 out of 10. All the same. So if you've seen A Christmas Story, you know the directing and editing style is very unique. Like basically it's very fantastical. He'll be thinking about a situation and then all of a sudden he'll be daydreaming in his head about him as like a gunslinging cowboy with like his new like Christmas presents, and he's like acting like in a little movie in his head. So it's a very fantastical production. Captures all that same vibe in this. Lots of
Is it the same
returning.
guy?
Yeah, and he looks
I
eerily like he
watched
does as a kid. And it's not just him, like the bullies from the original. Like there's a lot of returning cast members that all look like eerily similar to what they did 40 years ago. And they all look pretty good. I was like, that's impressive. This movie literally came out 40 years ago. It was good enough. This is going to be added to my Christmas movie rotation going forward, mainly because I love A Christmas Story so much. And this movie has some scenes that are very sad. It has some classic, just like slapstick comedy that's going to be hit or miss. But all in all, I was very pleasantly surprised. I had like zero expectation for this because I thought it was just going to be a cash grab. But the character who plays Ralphie in the original one, who's now older, and the main character this one, he's the producer of this. And I was thinking, I bet he's pretty wealthy because I bet that movie gets so many royalties because it plays every Christmas. But he's actually like he was one of the villains in Spider-Man Far From Home. He's produced a lot of movies. So I was like, because it said his net worth was like 12 million, which I was like, for an actor, that's actually pretty high because I feel like a lot of them that aren't mainstream actors are in the single digit millions. But I was like, but then I looked at his IMDb and he's like been a producer for, oh God, I don't have it up. I can't remember, but like TV shows that we all know the name of. Like he's like the executive producer. So like the kid from A Christmas Story, he had like a solid movie career of like being a producer and like showrunner.
I've actually seen that a lot. You know, in like kids are in like film early and they'll do like acting jobs. I think there's quite a few of them who go into the kind of the producing roles when they're older, when they struggle to get the main cast and they try and go into that role. So it kind of makes sense. And like you said, 12 million. It's not bad, is it?
So
very good.
Yeah, F is for Family. He's the executive producer of that show. I know that's a pretty popular show, and he was literally he's an executive producer for 30 for 30, which is a very popular ESPN series. And then he was an actor in Spider-Man Far From Home. He was one of the people in that rebellion of the Tony Stark Industries people. He was an elf, so he's been in quite a bit. But I'll leave it at that. Very pleasantly surprised. Then Spirited came out. So each Christmas Eve, the Ghost of Christmas.
He's also in Iron Man 1.
Oh, really? I guess that makes sense because he's a Stark Industries employee.
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
This man Cam gets up to yell at us about the MCU.
Quick side note about Iron Man, which is hilarious, is that someone tweeted that like went pretty viral. It's like, how long is it until Elon Musk gets a cameo in an MCU movie? And then everyone's replying like, bro, he was literally in like the first one. He was in like Iron Man
3.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 or whatever.
He's in Iron Man 3. When's he in Iron
A
Man 3?
very quick cameo. Tony Stark is at like
yeah.
a charity convention or something for New Year's Eve, and he talks to.
I
And
don't think I remember that.
and Tony Stark's car in that movie is a Tesla, I believe. So it was like
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2. I don't remember that. Fair.
It's at the Monte Carlo race.
When
People,
is that when
you
Whiplash
people.
comes out for the
Come
first
on.
time?
Yes.
Is that when the villain
Oh,
comes
yes.
for the first time? It is, isn't it? Yeah. I remember that.
So quick synopsis on Spirited. So it's starring Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell, Tracy Morgan, and Octavia Spencer, which for like a comedic Christmas movie with a cast like that, it's gonna capture anyone's attention. It's long though. It's like 2 hours 15 minutes, and for me, the musical numbers were bordering on the line of being fun to being just drawn out and unnecessary. Cam, like I know you didn't finish it, but the movie's pretty dark. Like there's some scenes in here. Like I know it's about the Christmas Carol story, so they have to follow the same like Tiny Tim theme with like a kid like ended up dying because of decisions, but there's some like dark stuff in this movie, and there's like very suggestive sexual commentary. So I don't really know who the target audience is here because I feel like it's not for kids. Cam, I don't know.
Have you seen the director's filmography? Like, it kind of makes sense.
I was
I've
half.
not. What's
I
his
was half.
filmography?
He did Daddy's Home 1 and 2. He did
Bangers.
Sex Drive. He did
Bangers.
Horrible Bosses 2.
Bangers.
That's my boy. It's bad. I'm not hearing any good things about it. But you think Daddy's Home 2 is good?
He's kidding. He's kidding.
Okay, thank God for that. Like, I didn't even like Daddy's Home 1, to be honest. I thought that was a bad film. But it doesn't surprise me that this has got kind of that sort of material in.
Yeah, so I give it a 4.6 out of 10. I genuinely enjoyed the first act. It just got way too long and too many musical numbers, but I think it's a pretty good, fresh take on the classic Christmas Carol Christmas story. So I enjoyed it. I thought Spirited, if you need a Christmas movie, it's worth a watch. A Christmas Story
Why
Christmas.
is it over 2 hours?
Exactly. There's no need for that to be over 2 hours. A Christmas Story Christmas, I highly recommend everyone. And then Falling for Christmas, if you want some good laughs, it's a solid one. But that ends that ends Cam and Tyler's quick Christmas roundup, starring Tyler as your only host, with Cam not being a participant.